YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Cover 2 Credits. Today we got another movie review in the cooker for you. Brand new space thriller. Out today. Oh, midnight last night. Technically today.
We're filming on Friday, by the way, so when you watch this on Monday, it will not be out today. It'll be out a few days ago.
Giving away secrets.
Well, if I said out today, in the movie, it won't. Timeline, it won't make any sense. The Martian.
The Martian. Matt Damon.
And a whole slew of
other dudes.
The cast to me was pretty awesome.
Had a good cast.
We'll get to that a little later.
Had good acting. Initial thoughts.
The hype was real for this movie because, like, the novel is supposedly amazing.
Audible keeps telling me to use my credits on it, and I keep not doing so.
I think you would really enjoy it. This is a movie, and from what I've heard, the book is the same. If you enjoy science or math, this is a book and a movie you're going to like.
They don't really go into any math.
In the book, I think, though, they go much farther into detail about how things are done.
About math.
There will be spoilers. We can't, again.
He lives. Spoiler.
Wow. That's pretty harsh.
Everyone freaking knew he lives. Come on.
Alright, continue though. So what do you think preliminarily? First of all, had you seen trailers?
Seen one trailer.
And that was probably the one I showed you.
I think it was before Fantastic Four.
I think it was. Yeah, because
I didn't hate Fantastic Four that much.
Well, there was a reason we hated it.
Terrible, but I didn't really.
There was a reason we hated it. Watch our video here about Fantastic Four and see why neither one of us really enjoyed it. However, Kate Mara in both movies, thus trailer before Fantastic Four. Continue.
There were some things I wish they would have done differently, but overall it was very, very solid.
I like the fact that this is a movie you can tell they took the time to make sure the science was right.
And that goes for all science fiction in general.
But that doesn't always happen. You have to admit that.
It doesn't.
Okay. It should.
It's the point of building a future science fiction story. Even regardless of whatever technology they're using, you have to make the science believable. It can be really crazy science that we haven't thought of yet, but it has to at least use the fundamental rules with which we understand the universe functions in that way.
Whatever rules they create, constraints they create, it has to stay within that.
And it has to be believable based on the average reader's knowledge.
And
listener's knowledge. And in this, they didn't have to do anything crazy because honestly, we as a race have the technology to do what they did in that movie right now.
I will say this. To my knowledge, it would take a lot longer to get to Mars than what they talked about.
I believe right now it's like 4 years.
That's what I thought. And they were talking
2.
Yeah, they were talking 500
days.
500 days.
I think currently we don't have that sort of speed.
Well,
we do and we don't.
Yeah.
We could probably use some ion thrusters.
Either way, though, that was the only thing I thought sounded strange. But then again, that's a huge point to where maybe we're both wrong. But as far as I thought, it was 4 or 5 years took a trip to Mars. That's what I thought.
I would have to Google foo, but I don't know 100%.
If I find anything different, you'll see it here.
Honestly, it's mostly about fuel storage. Because in order to, you have to accelerate and decelerate, and I don't think currently we have sufficient enough fuel to be able to do that within.
And last.
Because in space you can make yourself go as fast as you want, assuming you don't fly apart.
Which is another point that I have an issue with later. Something about flying apart. But the movie begins on a run with the whole, everybody's seen the trailer to this, if you're watching the review, about the storm Watney is the character that Matt Damon plays, gets hit with some debris. Everybody thinks he's dead. They leave. And when I say they leave, I mean literally when he gets hit with debris, they're on the way to the shuttle to emergency abort the mission. Now, originally the mission was stated for, do you remember how many days they said? They were supposed to be there.
I thought it was like 100 days.
I thought it was something like that. They were supposed to be there a long time, and they were there, what, 12?
I thought they were there 50 days.
I didn't think...
They were sold... I thought it was 50.
Either way, it was about halfway, because they had said that it was twice... The ship was ready for... The half-life on the ship for this mission was only halfway. Like, they had a whole nother... So, yes, he's probably about right. It was like, it was under 50, because I want to say one of the first logs he did was around 50.
That was my assumption.
Yeah. So, they leave. Watney is not dead, and thus begins his adventure in Martianness. And I liked the way they did things with some self-narration of his mindset.
I would have liked more self-narration.
Really? Because I know a lot of people don't like that, but I thought I liked the way they did it. I liked the way they did it. I liked how they're logging everything. So even if it's not self-narration, it's him talking to himself because he's logging it. I like that. My question, where are those logs going? They never got to NASA. NASA never saw any of that.
They should have. He can like...
They never go to that, do they? The only way they found out he was alive was seeing the radar.
Well, I think when he gets back, you're going to put the data with him with all his logs.
No, think about it. No. Think about how he got off that. No. Nothing's going with him.
True.
So the logs, in theory, maybe were to leave if somebody found him. That could be. If he died, the logs were... That makes sense. Like a diary. But my thought was, I would have thought those would have been somehow signaled to NASA to monitor as things are going, but that never seemed to happen. Mm-hmm. Either way. He's a botanist, which comes into play immensely.
One of the main plot devices of the story.
And there are some funny moments in this movie.
A little humor.
I liked it a lot. A movie that Sean Bean survives, which is a rarity, and I like that fact. Jeff Daniels played an awesome part in this movie. I'll digress to that. We'll get to the cast here in a second. Other than that, though, opening thoughts. Did you think anything specifically with this?
In terms of
overall, I mean, I was looking forward to this a lot. Everything I had seen, everything I had heard showed.
I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I heard it was good from numerous sources.
Also, Ridley Scott, and Ridley Scott has kind of faltered bless you, a little bit lately. People were worried about that, and to me this is a little bit of a return to form for Ridley Scott. So I mean, but okay, let's continue though. So we went a little over of the brief plot. I'd really like to try to stay away from as many spoilers as we can on how certain things happen, just because I'd like to see, you know what I mean. We can talk about things, but maybe not super specific on some things. So what do you think? We do a cast next? Do you want to do cast next? Okay. So like you said, Matt Damon, main character Mark Watney. To me, did great.
Excellent acting from Matt Damon.
Showing the little bit
Best Since Dogma.
Best Since Dogma. That's a reference I heard in a long time. Nice. The cabin fever craziness that started at the very end. Do you notice what I'm talking about?
Yes, I would have, like I said, I would have enjoyed more of that because I think the movie sort of glosses over it.
I would agree, and I bet you in the novel it comes into play a lot more.
I would imagine.
However, I liked the way they did it. They also couldn't just make the guy kind of turn into like a psychopath. Because then, like, people are gonna be weird about that. But when he calls himself a space pirate and demands they call him Captain Blondebeard,
Yeah.
And just some things
Humans
like,
don't function well without other people.
you can tell he's starting to kind of lose some sense. Never his wit, because he was always very together with what was going on, but it was when there was downtime he would kind of start to
You lose it.
wheel.
But like I said, the movie didn't really go into that.
No. Okay, his crew, or their crew. Michael Pena.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pretty funny. I mean, there's a few.
He plays the clown of the group, and it's a good role for him.
I don't know what his, I guess pilot, but it's not really pilot. Would it be engineer? No. I'm not sure what his actual title would be. He was one of the main pilots for the ship, whether it was the UAV that was on Mars itself or the larger ship that was taking them from Earth to Mars and back and forth. Then there were 5 crew members and 1. Sebastian Stan, although he didn't say much, he was quiet. He was one of them. He was the guy that was going to go out after him and then didn't. Kate Mara was their engineer and was okay. I thought she was better than this than she was in Fantastic Four.
Hard to be worse.
It's true. I don't know the other male astronaut's name. But again, they kind of glossed over him.
He did not have a big role.
No.
Not very many lines.
No. So the captain, commander of the mission is played by Jessica Chastain. I thought she did all right. I mean, we find out her and Pena are military, and not more of the NASA side. They're both, but you know what I'm saying. Yes. There's a difference between a non-military astronaut that's more science-based than the military astronaut. I know it's vague, but the other 3 weren't military.
NASA's sort of a vague sort of thing.
Very much is. The other 3 were not military. However, she plays that kind of stern well. And she's done a lot in the last year. Interstellar. I mean, she's kind of
running the show.
Yeah. So I thought she did well. I mean,
I had a few issues with her character in general.
Her character or her acting?
Her character.
Okay.
I don't know enough about acting to actually.
Well, I mean, you can say there's something that bothered you. Yeah.
But
you can say something bothered you. I don't mean.
No, it was more. I took issue with the writing, the way it sort of developed at times. But like I said, I've never acted on it.
Now, what do you think other than that?
That's just nitpicking.
Other than her, what did you think of the crew?
Again, I thought they mostly had. It's hard when you have set time limit to really build characters
individually.
To build individual motivations, and it's hard to build up all those personalities within a 2.5 hour movie. Granted, this is a lot longer than most movies are nowadays, but it's still not enough time to really flesh all the characters out. And as we said earlier, they didn't get fleshed out, which is not good, but you get what you get.
I also didn't have a problem with it.
No, I mean, they're not integral to the story.
However, did this feel that long to you?
No, but that's the mark of a good movie.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to. Before we get to more of the plot, or more characters, we also saw this in 3D. Realistically, either way, you can see it. Some of the 3D would... Anytime they're in a suit outside or inside, there is a HUD if you're seeing from their perspective. As a gamer, it was kind of cool to see the HUD projected in 3D. But other than that,
3D movies are dying.
They really didn't use 3D all that well.
It was a fad.
Well, I'm not going that far. We'll get to that at a different time. However, I'm not going to say you have to see this in 3D.
I don't like 3D movies anyway. They give me headaches.
I would say you need to see this movie. We'll get back to characters. Jeff Daniels, the head of NASA in this movie.
Good acting.
Very good. Like
good character.
Like
well written. Well acted.
People that I've seen that are releasing reviews now for this movie were saying like hoping he gets a Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor kind of stuff. And same thing for Damon with the lead. We'll continue on. Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is the head of the Mars missions for NASA. I thought he did very well too. I liked his character. Did you or not? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked him. I mean, again, his role in the movie wasn't really at the forefront. It was
But
there.
it was more important than some. I mean...
Yeah, but like I said,
You saw him a lot, he didn't necessarily do a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing, exactly. That's what I was going to get into, is he did a lot of things that were integral to the plot, but you never really explore him as a character.
No.
You don't get any of his personality.
You get a little...
You get a little personality,
a little.
You get a little of what he's doing and why he's doing it, but he serves his function, but they never really explored him as a character.
Kristen Wiig as the head PR for NASA. I didn't expect her to be in probably one of the most serious parts I've seen her play. Mm-hmm. I thought she did fine.
Yeah,
again, small part. You only see a couple times. She only has a few lines, but it worked.
It worked.
There's a little bit of a bumping of heads between Ejiofor and Daniel's character sometimes. And then we can bring in Sean Bean, who is the head of the crew head. He oversees all of the actual astronauts, and there's a lot of stress between him and Daniels with some decisions that are made. But I'm glad to see a movie where Sean Bean survives. Not only that, but they make a Lord of the Rings joke in the movie with Sean Bean sitting there, and that was one of the times we definitely were just laughing hysterically.
It was well played.
It was.
Great scene.
He plays a good part, I thought. I thought he was very well done. What did you think? He played almost a little bit more of an important role than Ejiofor to me.
Yes, and you got more of him.
Yeah.
What he was standing up for and why he was doing it.
Yep.
And that was a overall, that's, you've got obviously the Martian, and then the other drama happens back on Earth between two basic groups, and they're basically the heads of those groups. You know why they're doing the things they're doing.
So who else am I thinking of now? You've got the Asian guy at the head of the...
I mean, it's mostly these minor characters.
It was. Okay.
And these are all minor characters anyway.
Truthfully, they really are. I would say you've got 4 main, and that's probably Damon, Chastain, Daniels, and probably Bean. So those are kind of your main 4. I thought the acting was well. I didn't really have any huge problem with the way anything was done. You see Donald Glover. I can't think of the first name, but you see he was the engineer that came up with the ricochet idea. Good part. He was a small part. Kind of funny, but there's an interesting aspect of how they get equipment to the ship. How they come up with plans that they have to get equipment to Mars to Damon. However, that falls through in a series of unfortunate events. Then they figure there's another thing going on, there's some mutiny going on, and somehow they end up that they need to get equipment to the ship that's already in space now. They try that, it fails. So then someone, how far into the other side, that other group you were talking about, should we go into? Because that was kind of a curveball that I didn't expect.
Like I said, it was all, we can't really go into it without giving the thing away.
Yeah.
And like I said, it didn't, to the overall movie doesn't really matter that much.
I will say this, by the end of the movie, it's not, they show other places that are watching what's unfolding, And I thought that was kind of cool to see. There was like a sense of like community in that. Everybody was wanting to get him off of Mars. Everybody was wanting to see them come home. That whole thing. I'm all for anything that's going to give NASA promotion, you know. And to me, they pushed this movie well enough that hopefully this will bring some forefront back to maybe expanding something they're doing, you know.
Well, the whole NASA cusp was always unfortunate to begin with.
I agree,
but that's not really on topic.
No.
If we want to talk about it later in a
different
extended cut,
we may come up
we
with
can
that
go
again.
into that. But
so next, what mean?
I think it's time to give this thing a rating.
All right,
Bring it back
what
in.
do you think?
We've been blabbing for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm torn.
It's tough. It's tough. This is easily one of the best movies. Now, this is mine. One of the best movies we may have reviewed.
I agree with that.
If
I don't
not-
know if I'm quite ready to give it a 9, but I really
If
want
not the best movie we may have reviewed.
to. I can get behind that as well.
We saw some interesting trailers. A couple that are interesting to me. The only movie that I think they're going to be movies that are going to be pretty good between now and the end of the year. At least to me, Kevin's still meh. However, one trailer came up, and this last week they released the second trailer for this movie, which is what we saw, was the second trailer.
I'm not going to see Goosebumps with you.
That's not what I'm talking about. Touche. That's not what I'm talking about. Go online after you're done watching us. Look up the trailer for the movie The Revenant. I think right now
Looks very, very good.
that movie, and again, the hype is real, but people are talking about Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy in that movie. Both lead and both actors hopefully getting Oscar nominations for whatever, but you watch the trailer, it looks visually very, very good, and it's a different look. It's dark. They did some things with it's very interesting, but that to me, the reason I go off on that tangent, that to me may be the only movie that I think could equal or be better than what we watched today.
Yeah, I think this Martian's probably going to sweep the board in terms of
Those two. There are going to be some other good things. Listen, Star Wars is going to be pretty damn good. He's still off the board, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. However,
I think I'm going to go with 9. That's pushing it. I don't like giving 9s, but I gave Avengers 2 an 8, I think.
which now you may wish you could retract that.
Yeah, I can't really not give this a 9 in good conscience.
I know, I
give that an
completely
8.
agree. I would give it a 9. And we
It's
both are going
right
to say,
there.
we're both going to say 2D or 3D, go watch this movie. See it in a theater. It's worth going to see. You know,
Don't pay $20 for a pretzel.
yeah. But I enjoyed everything in this movie. I enjoyed the fact that this is kind of, there is some science in this that I like. If you've got a kid that enjoys science, take them to this movie. This is a movie that, not super young, but to me, if your kid is older than what, 7 or 8, there's going to be some interest in this movie. There's action, there's suspense, and then there's some cool stuff that goes on.
When those kids get to be adults, this is the kind of thing.
That's a
colonizing
possibility.
Mars is the kind of thing that the world
That
is
is a
going to be doing
possibility.
at that point.
Yes.
And like I said, this is a great time for a great movie.
And I'll tell you, if your kids enjoy any thoughts of space, they like learning about that, they like science in general, go see this movie. Take them to it, see this movie.
Even if you don't see this movie,
I agree
it's
completely.
that good.
I agree completely. So, let us know if you see this movie, what you think. Let us know if there are any movies coming up you're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to In the Heart of the Sea, The Revenant, Crimson Peak, Star Wars, Legend is hopefully the next movie that I'm going to get him to go see with me when it comes out. Like, subscribe. Again, any feedback you've got, for what we talk about in these videos would be appreciated. We kind of like to hear what you guys have to say. And until next time.
Thank you for staying until after the credits.
By the way, Mars is international waters.
And we're space pirates.
And we're, yes.